And then I sat down next to you and I'm like, what is this community that like loves me and just wants to be here with me in the middle of everything going on? And here Mike talked about this, people are glad to be with you no matter what. So it just flew in the face of everything that I was experiencing. And I started thinking, I'm like, what if church could be a place where the sermon could stop and you could actually turn, instead of facing forward, you can turn right next to each other and have those really deep conversations and feel safe and seen and secure in one place. How would that, change everything? And honestly, John, I didn't think what y'all were saying was true at all. So I was out to prove y'all wrong.
You were.
Just keeping it real. So yeah, that's where all this started.
Welcome to Stories from the Revolution. I'm your host, John White, and the co-founder of LK10.com. On this podcast, we share real-life stories from the front lines of the relational revolution, where people all over the world are rediscovering a simple, relational way of living out church, just as Jesus intended. If you're a current or former church leader who's felt restless or wounded in traditional church settings, or if you're longing for deeper community, deeper leadership, and deeper joy, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Have you ever felt like you're showing up every Sunday, pouring yourself out, doing all the right things, and yet something inside you still feels completely alone? Bethany Boring knows that feeling all too well. A single mom, a staff member at a thriving church, a woman walking through deep personal pain, and yet no one really asked how she was doing until something shifted. One message, one invitation, and one unexpected intro call set her on a journey she never saw coming, into a community that didn't just see her wounds, they welcomed her right in the middle of them. If you've ever wondered if there's more, if church could be a place of rest instead of performance, this story is for you. So I am delighted to be with my friend Bethany Boring. We've had lots of great conversations over the last number of years. So Bethany, I wonder if you would just share a bit about yourself. Where are you and your family, and what kind of work do you do?
Yeah. So I am here in Florida, 3 hours away from you, right, John? We never
Right, just north of us.
Well, but yeah, sunny Florida. I have 3 amazing teenage boys. And I currently work as a certified mental health coach. I work with counselors and leaders and anyone really doing one-on-one day after day after day. I help them connect in groups, much like Luke 10, and use that as a form of support, but also engagement with other people.
So a special heart for therapists and counselors. Sounds like the unique challenges they face. Yes. And then you also are a Luke 10 facilitator, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. I'm fully listed Luke 10 facilitator and actually a trainer as well. And absolutely love being able to just have these Luke 10, as I call it, spark moments throughout my weeks. I have groups scattered conveniently throughout my week. And so I'm just like, yeah, not that I don't like any of the other work, but it's like one of those days that I look forward to. I'm like, yeah, it's Luke 10 day. And
what do you call it? A spark? What do you call it? Spark proof?
Yeah, little spark. They're not spark groups, but like anytime I have like a facilitator meeting or a training appointment or church 101 group or a leader team group, like one of those Luke 10 groups, I feel like I'm in a bunch of them. I've organized them in such a way that it kind of orchestrates with my flow. And so, yeah, it's just been really neat because I found myself a couple times looking back and go, okay, I need to be strategic when I can plan certain things because I get so much a jolt, from some of these groups. I'm like, okay, and I'm going to do that after I get done with the group. So, yeah.
Oh, good. Any specific example come to mind of that? I'm sort of putting you on there.
No, yeah. It's great. I remember one thing I was, in one of the people I've been working with has been encouraging me to create some space to do some creative writing, which I usually love to do, but in the recent little bit, it's just been harder to do because of my vision, but also because I like to keep busy. Imagine that. And these groups help me slow down And so all this to say, I planned I think it was it was a leader team meeting, not the one I was facilitating, just one that I was a part of, which is great. And I purposely planned to do creative writing time an hour after I got done out of that group. And surely to goodness, out of that group, something came up and I just allowed myself to just free write. And that hour went by so quick when normally I'm just sitting there going, and so it's been really freeing to have that. Something that seemed like it was a challenge before just becomes so easy after those groups.
Great. Thank you. Well, let's go back in time a bit. When I first met you, you were still involved in a traditional church.
Yeah.
Tell us what that was like for you, and what was the challenge there? How did God move you out of that environment?
Yeah, so this was, goodness gracious. I'm trying to remember when we actually first met, because when I got connected with Luke 10, it was because Mike had come to the church and spoke. And listening back to that message now, I think he only mentioned Luke 10 like twice. But to me back then, the whole entire message was about Luke 10. Because I heard it and it just was so cute. I'm like, what do you mean there's a community that loves to be with you no matter what? I remember hearing that and I was like, yeah, right. Just keeping it real. I was so
This was Mike Hoffman, by the way, just so.
yes.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it was good. And so I cornered him after he got done talking and he mentioned Church 101. And I was like very skeptical in an intro call and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? Like it was all just weird. But long story short, after connecting and doing some of this stuff, I remember sitting a couple years later after going through a lot of this next to you and at this conference, and I just walked in and I just received, prior to meeting you, I had just received my first 2 hugs in probably a while from my leader team leader, who is Jason Twombly, and I don't know, there was some other person there that I had ever seen. And anyway, both of them gave me physical hugs, which is so weird to be talking to somebody and actually connecting. And then I sat down next to you and I'm like, what is this community that like loves me and just wants to be here with me in the middle of everything going on? So yeah, it's quite the transition.
So tell us a bit more about the starting point on the transition. What was it like for you in traditional church?
Yeah, so I believe I was currently on staff there as the youth or elementary children's director, but then I also was either transitioning into helping with the freedom ministry as well. And so I was very much on the floor running. At the same time, when I first connected with Luke 10, ever heard of it, I was actually going through divorce and just feeling like a single mom, trying to even just keep life together at that moment and just feeling completely alone. And I just remember this specific Sunday, I literally just got out of the hospital for something and not sure if I even wanted to be at church that Sunday because nobody asked. And I know I have people that care about me because they did come to the hospital and check on me, but it's just like nobody was asking the obvious. I just kind of felt like everybody was like not coming close to me, like I was contagious or something, which I wasn't. It's just like weird.
So your first contact was really Mike Hoffman talking about this, and you were sort of curious but skeptical at the same time.
Yes.
And how did you end up doing an intro call and starting in Church 101?
Yeah. So I remember, and I don't even remember what I was in the hospital for that time because I have constant health issues. So I believe it was something to do with my pacemaker, I believe at that point. So they're just trying to get regulated again. And so you just feel wompy. Like, I don't know. People don't understand. But if you can just imagine your heart doing whatever it wants to for a while, it's like doing acrobatics nonstop. So you're exhausted after they get everything back in rhythm again. So you're recovering, all that stuff going. And they mentioned you've got to do something different. I'm like, what? They're like, you got to get into places where you're not stressed. I'm like, where? It's like they were saying, I'm like, to a single mom with 3 kids, going through divorce, trying to keep the house. Where's that place? Please tell me. And I'll go to it. I will move. But anyway, with all that going on, and that's when Mike mentioned this intro call. And I remember, because at that point too, I was, you just get on these calls and they end up being like recorded webinars. At least that was my experience. I was like, okay, let's see what they're selling. That was kind of my mindset. And I remember I was coming home from something, and the person on the other side was actually talking to me. And I was like, oh, this is live. I need to actually stop and get on the camera. It's like, oh. So I just remember scrambling and made up something that I was doing and scrambling and then coming in the camera and going, hi. Trying to put myself together. And it was really neat because they asked me so many curious questions, and they really had that time and space to be with me. And I just thought they're like waiting for something, like waiting for the shoe to drop. And the shoe never dropped. And so I had to have more and then the way he mentioned it is like, well, Church 101 starts like tomorrow. If you want to do it, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to figure out what this is. So I was like sold. I was like, let's go. And then Church 101 started, met Jason, and the rest is kind of history, but just learning that I think, especially with the Church 101, learning that I had a group that really gave me options of how I wanted people to respond. And it really made me safe and really gave me that space. And that was just a new experience for me.
Oh, that's a great story. So take us on a little bit more on the journey. Where did you go from Church 101? What was that? Church 101 is a 6-week online course with a facilitator. Jason was your facilitator. And it sounds like, what was that like? You were probably with a group of people that you maybe hadn't met before?
Oh yeah, I knew none of these people. And it was just so amazing because like I remember one week, one of the people that were part of our group, and it was only 6 weeks long, so I think it was like week 3 or something. And somebody already told us ahead of time they weren't going to be there. And we decided they encouraged us to meet regardless. And it just felt weird. And I'm like, wait a second, I have groups all the time where people can't show up and they go on, and it's just not normal, but it's like, okay, here you just could feel that sense of loss. And it'd only been like 3 weeks. I'm like, what is happening? It's like, I felt like I was losing my mind. I was like looking so much forward to this, group, and we were total strangers. We started out as total strangers, but yet we were inviting each other into such a deep place and trusting each other, which was so weird for me. But yet it was the first time that I had really had people curious, wanting to listen to Jesus on my behalf, me getting to do that for other people, and people go, wow, that's exactly what I needed. I'm like, wait, God, was that really you? Oh, okay, cool. And just having this huge experience of, being with people that want to do that. So I had to have more. I remember even counting down the hours until we got to meet, and I would get so excited. So yeah.
Very cool. And you went on then to leader team as sort of the next step if people feel led to do that, and then facilitator training. What was that experience like for you?
Oh man. Well, it's funny because I joke about it. Me and Tony and Jason all joke about it because Jason was like my person. He was with me at Church 101. He also was a leader team. He also trained me, and I had to learn. I had to because I know there were other people. So it's like, I have to experience other people. I know Jason's way. But Jason was actually, God orchestrated that because I didn't feel safe. You didn't know this either, John, probably, but I didn't feel safe with men specifically. And the way God orchestrated the most caring, the most amazing guys, God-honoring guys into my life, I'm like, wait. It just flipped everything on his head. And all of that to say, when I got to do training, I remember one of the first calls I did, one of the questions that Jason asked me when we were reviewing the call together was, what did you do well? I hated that question so bad. Like, nothing. I messed everything up. He's like, let's take a step back, and he really didn't let me go up from that. And to hear that curiosity, that care enough to draw out our unique design, the way that God has made us, to be able to see that with another person actually seeing that, and then you to go the next week and actually experience, oh, that's what he was talking about. Oh, that really is true. I really do show up in that way. Was amazing to have that. And just to know that you're not alone. Like, I think a lot of times we're told, okay, let's do a group or whatever. If we're thrown into a leadership position and you're just trusted, like, have fun, come tell us when everything, when we have an issue, something. Whereas the training part is like, we're with you. Like, you're not too much. We love being with you. We love to see God work through you. We trust you. Let's do this together. And that was a new experience for me.
Beautiful. And you've had lots of training as a coach. You're not a rookie on all of this. Were there things that you felt like you learned in facilitator training that were maybe different or new or beyond what you had learned in the past?
Yeah. I think I was naturally curious, but there was something different between, like, in my mind, coaching, that's allowed in coaching. But I think sometimes I got shut down a lot being curious in other environments, especially relational environments, that I stopped. And this was such a curious environment that I was able to do that in a safe way. And I had so much experience not being shut down and being applauded for it that I got to see God move in amazing ways. And so that was something that, like, I had that experience in coach training, but I didn't see that at first in my role as a facilitator, because I'm a facilitator, I'm the coach. But yet at the same time, like, curiosity is so welcome there. And so I got to see my passion for coaching, which I still have, come very similar into the facilitator space without the extra burden of following a specific coaching model or getting somebody to a specific destination. You just let God lead. And I'm like, well, this is awesome. I get to let God lead. I get to be curious. So it was just amazing. I got to just simply show up as me.
And you are now functioning as a Luke 10 trainer. So you're training people in facilitator training. And
Yes.
what's that like for you to you're sort of talking about that, but what's that like?
Yeah. So to be training someone, it's just amazing to watch, because I remember this me going through it, but you kind of forget about it, which I think that's really something unique about Luke 10 is that you go through these processes, but then you almost sometimes, at least for me, I get so wrapped up into what's going on, I kind of forget where I started. And that's what all this is like. When you get to train, you get to go back to almost where you started. You get to remember, oh, wait, this is where I was when I was actually, learning how to do this and learning how to do all that. And so anyway, all this to say, it is amazing to walk and being able to pull and draw some of that out of people as they're going through this process. So, and I remember as I was going through it myself, as a facilitator, getting trained, I was just amazed. Like, wow, like I could never do that. And now I'm doing it, but it's just so natural. It's just so it's the way it's set up is just so perfect, because you grow in your maturity and you grow in your curiosity and you grow by your experience, and you're given so many opportunities to not only reflect, but form stories and identities around the experiences that you have. And
Yes.
that's just so amazing.
Well, I have always felt that Luke 10 is so fortunate to have you as one of our facilitators, as one of our trainers. Every time I'm with you, you always bring a joy. You always are communicating, glad to be with you. You always bring curiosity, gentle curiosity, and amazing insights and vulnerability. So you are just, I think, a real gift to Luke 10. So thank you. And thanks for sharing your story. I'm sure God's going to use that to help others who are maybe done with traditional church and their journey. So thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Bethany's story is more than inspiring. It's a clear picture of what happens when someone finds real spiritual family. In the middle of divorce, health struggles, and ministry burnout, Bethany encountered a community that wasn't trying to fix her, but was simply glad to be with her. That changed everything. Today, she's not just surviving, she's training others to build safe, joy-filled communities of their own. That's what we're building here at Luke 10. Not programs, not platforms, but people. People like Bethany who are being trained, equipped, and sent out to foster vibrant families of Jesus all over the world. If you believe in this kind of kingdom work, if you want to see more Bethanies find healing and hope, would you consider partnering with us financially? Your gift helps us train more facilitators, host more intro calls, and support leaders just like Bethany who are forming spiritual families in their neighborhoods, their Zoom rooms, and beyond. Just go to lk10.com/donate today to give. That's lk10.com/donate. Whether it's a one-time gift or a monthly partnership, every dollar fuels the revolution. Let's keep changing the way church is lived. One life, one story, one family at a time. Thanks for joining me today on Stories from the Revolution. If today's conversation stirred something in you, would you please consider passing it along to someone who needs to hear it? Just tap that share button and send it their way by text, email, or social. Until next time, keep listening, keep loving, and keep leading like Jesus.